Hello, hello, hello. Grand Rising, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Please stay warm. If you don't have to be out, don't be out. Okay. Gonna read from Everything Happens for a Reason. I haven't been on for a while. Been going through a lot, but hanging in there. Paper, stone, and scissors. Look, Doug, I continued. I'm sure you've let go of things in your life. Okay, now, quick. Give me the first answer that comes into your head. If all this time and energy you spent with blame were freed up, why would that be a gift? What would what would it be good for? Just as I asked him, Doug didn't hesitate. I need to find love. I got divorced about 6 years ago. My wife and I was my wife said I was a mean bastard. I've gone out with a lot of women since then, and it's never worked. I think it's never worked because I'm very critical and they don't like me because they think I don't like them. Have you ever had that happen? You go out with somebody and you think they don't like you, you don't like them, but you're still going out with them. It says blame kills love. I said it's like when you play paper, stone, and scissors, which is rock, paper, scissors. Paper beats stone. Some people don't get that because a stone is tougher than paper, but the paper can wrap itself around the stone and make it disappear. That's what blame does to love, and it happens in your heart. So, should I stop blaming my father? He was just a father like million other fathers based on what you've told me. But maybe there was something about having a father who was tough enough that gave you a certain toughness you need for running an ad agency, which must be a complete zoo. It's a total zoo because I love it. It's the only place in your life where there is no blame. Wow, that's right. Maybe that's why I love it so much. So I have to forgive. Exactly, I said. So when you find a way to forgive yourself, it will show you a way to forgive your father. Can you do that, Doug? I don't know. I'm just so tired of all this blame and carrying grudges and everything. But how do I forgive myself? You get tired of not forgiving. You realize what a burden it's been. And you just put it down like letting yourself go to sleep. There's nothing to go out and do. It just happens because there are so many good reasons for it to happen. The way you let yourself fall asleep when there are so many good reasons for you to fall asleep, it can feel impossible. Then suddenly it just happens. For Doug, it was an event in his presence, his son's problems, whose meaning enabled him to find forgiveness for something that happened in his past, the way his father had treated him. Now let's meet Ellen. For her, it was the opposite. It was an event from her past whose meaning enabled her to find forgiveness for the things that were happening in her present. Next section, a hank of hair and a bag of bones. Ellen, 37, came to me because her problems with forgiveness were interfering with her work. Ellen was a psychiatric nurse. To many of the people who came into her hospital reminded her painfully of her own problems. Sometimes we see things that remind us of our own problems. And she responded with impatience instead of understanding. Here's what she told me. Back in my teens and 20s, I had this monster case of anorexia. I made Karen Carpenter look like Dom DeLuise for years. I looked like a hank of hair and a bag of bones. I went into cardiac arrest a couple of times. The whole thing, particularly killed my parents. It was really bad. And I don't really know how I came out of it. I didn't I didn't suddenly realize something I'd never realized before. It was more like one day they said, "You got to eat your potatoes like they've done a million times." And that day I just ate the damn potatoes and I never looked back. Too many, to me, that's creepy because, and I'm cured or what happened. On some level, I've moved on. I've been healthy for 10 years, and most of the time, I never think about what that crazy girl was back then who worked so hard to destroy herself. But on another level, that part of me is always there. You go forward and you're not thinking about it. When you least expect it, something happens and boom, the whole thing is there like it was yesterday. Can you give me some example? I asked. Yeah, it sort of happens all the time. Patients keep coming in, and most of the time I think I'm really good with them. But then we had like this young man, he was a medical school. He was a medical school. Things started getting overwhelming. He tried to kill himself. And I felt so hostile toward him. When I asked questions, it would be like I was grilling him. It always the self-destructive note in people that makes me so furious with them. I'm so hard on people, then mercilessly, really, I can't forgive people for their flaws. And this is the whole thing keeps ruining my life. I lived with this guy, Charlie, for about a year and a half. I really loved him. We were going to get married. But whenever he crossed some line, I was so incredibly hard on him, he just couldn't take it anymore. And I don't blame him. If you don't forgive yourself, you're going to be hard on everyone you care about, and you're going to keep losing them. Why would anyone ever feel safe with you unless he felt there was forgiveness at your very core? The only guys who will stand for it is the ones who blame. Then I asked Ellen to answer the diagnostic questions in this chapter. She said yes to all of them. Show that there's meaning in what you went through. I said, in the possibility of forgiveness. You were at some point down the road, you were going to be saying the reason I went through such hell with my eating disorder was to really show me how important it is to be forgiving of a forgiving person. Because here's the thing, I don't think what happened to you made such a hard ass. You are such a hard ass. I think you were born with a hard point part of your fully developed. Do you think you could have starved yourself the way you did unless you had a tough component to your personality? Hmm. Wow. I don't think so. What happened to you was a chance to learn to be more forgiving. After the moment, Ellen said, who or what do I really need to forgive? If you see who you're blaming, you'll see who you need to forgive. I'm blaming myself. But which part of myself? Another pause. This is a sick part of myself. You were starving yourself partly because you didn't stand your imperfections. Now you can't stand the imperfections that lead you to anorexia, that led you to anorexia. When you know what to blame, you know what to forgive. Hmm. Imagine the unimaginable. Imagine the unimaginable. You forgiving your imperfection. You know what? I said, taking a risk. I bet somewhere along the line you ran into someone who was a model for how you can forgive your imperfections. Ellen got an idea, and immediately in one of the hospitals I was in, there was a nurse who I don't know. Her approval of me didn't go up and down according to how much I ate that day. She was always kind to me. She saw a person inside of me beyond my disease. It was almost like she didn't care about my disease. She just about the person I was. And in her eyes, that person had nothing to do with the disease. I just loved her for that. It's almost like you got sick, I said, so you could find this person who could teach you this lesson about self-forgiveness. After all, if you were so sick, you could only get that way if you were completely unforgiving of the slightness of deviation from your plan because you weren't living up to some ideal. And then this woman showed that you can forgive someone who isn't perfect, even if that person is yourself. I know that woman did. I just don't know how to do that for myself, as she cried. Next section, continue. Path to forgiveness. Forgiveness is hard, but I'll tell you what I told Ellen. I think forgiveness would be a lot easier except for the ways that the past keeps living in the present. It's a it's fear that's preventing you from forgiving yourself, which is the way it is for most people. I think you still feel that uh, wow. It's fear that's preventing you from forgiving yourself, which is the way it is for most people. I think you still feel that woman who tried to starve herself to death and came so close to succeeding is alive and well inside. You don't know how to feel safe from that woman inside. Do sometimes we don't know how to feel safe on the person that's inside of us. You're letting that woman you were define you, who you are now. But maybe there's a way acknowledge what happened to you without letting it define you so much. You know that is going to happen anyway. You're still young. 10, 20 years from now, you're going to look at the life you built. You're going to see how much your life comes from you, not the sick you, but the, the person you are now. That's what's going on. That's what's going to define who you are. So why not do it sooner rather than later? And then when your old self isn't such a big deal in the story of your life, believe me, forgiveness is going to be a lot easier. There are many paths you can follow to forgiveness. That was one. Understand that your present is different from your past. Understand that your present is different from your past. Here's another focus. Focus on how it hurts not to forgive yourself and or what you need to be safe. It hurts you, Ellen, because it's made you hard on everyone you could be caring about, and that just drives them away. What you need to be safe is to see that you're not saved from anorexia because you're such a hard ass. Being such a hard ass was a part of your anorexia. You're saved from anorexia because you're you. The you've been these past 10 years. Do you think your old self would ever have come to see me and try to come to terms with your need to forgive yourself? So I'm here. And that means I'm not like I was. Just like I found a life coach, I'm not like I was in my 40s or my 30s or my 20s. Just look at yourself. There are 1,000 reasons why you're not like that sick, skinny girl or the person you were. What can I tell you? Let's keep looking for a reasons to forgive yourself. I've got one, Ellen said, because I've suffered enough. Have you suffered enough? Have you struggled enough? Have you dealt with enough pain? I was my own punishment. Sometimes we could be our own punishment. I just have to meditate on that. And I think I should definitely be able to forgive myself. Yeah, I think if we realize how much the people we blame have suffered themselves, forgiveness would sweep the world. The thing that you have to be forgiving of yourself as you go through the process of trying to find forgiveness, it's not like suddenly seeing the light. It's like you're tuned in to that signal where you really do feel you can forgive yourself on another person or another person. Then you lose it. You get the signal back and then you lose it again. Then you get it back again, then you lose it. The signal keeps coming back stronger each time, and you get better at tuning in to it. It takes a while, but gradually your forgiveness takes over. Just be patient with yourself as you go through this process, this zigzag process. We're talking about the path to forgiveness. The two things that you can follow is understand that your present is different from your past, and focus on how it hurts you not to forgive yourself. Along with the third point is what you need to be saved. We read Path to Forgiveness along with a hank of hair and a bag of bones, paper, stone, and scissors. Everything happens for a reason. Have a blessed day. Remember to smile.